So today I want to share with you guys how Jeff Bezos literally succeeded as a startup entrepreneur. I mean, Jeff Bezos is the founder and is the founder of Amazon, right? So how did Jeff Bezos literally move Amazon from just an idea into what it is today? How, I mean, not exactly what it is today, but how did he scale through that startup phase? Right, that's because the startup phase is the most challenging, is the most challenging phase. Nobody believes in you. Nobody, you share your dream with people and they'll be like, oh well, okay, but I don't see this working. Right? Nobody believes in you. You believe in yourself only. Right? You're just passionate about what you want to do, but several other persons are like, this thing I don't think is gonna work. Right? And you're not getting support from anyone, or maybe a couple of persons are just supporting you, but not the kind of support you want for yourself, right? So how do you scale through such an event, right? If you're a startup founder, you're a CEO, or generally you're an entrepreneur, right? How do you scale through that phase of startup, that struggling phase where you're trying to figure things out, you're seeking for help, assistance, you just want to break through, right? So we're going to use a case study of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, because he was one time a startup entrepreneur, right? He was on that phase as well. He passed through that phase of being a startup entrepreneur, right? So, how did Jeff Bezos scale through or succeeded as a startup entrepreneur? So, that's literally what we're going to be discussing today. Now, the first thing in my analysis of the traits of Jeff Bezos, right? One of the first thing I noticed is that was the power of imagination, the power of the mind. And that's where everything starts from, right? The mind, not just the mindset, one, the mindset, two, your vision. Because your mindset, your vision is based on the level of your mindset, is based on the capacity, is based on who you are in your mind. You see, it reminds me of the portion of the Bible where God told Abraham, He said, look in the sky, as far as you can see, so shall your nations be. Look in the sky, as far as you can see, so shall your nations be. So, which simply means that first there's the mindset, and then there's second, the vision. Your ability to see is largely dependent on your mindset, the kind of mindset you carry, right? And Proverbs 23, verse 7 says that as a man thinketh, as a man thinketh in his heart. Oh my God. Proverbs 23, verse 7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart. I don't know why I keep having issues pronouncing the word thinketh, or as a man thinks in his heart. Let's use contemporary English, right? As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As a man think in his heart. So now, of course, you know you don't think with your heart, right? So in this case, the heart here is referred to your mind. That's where you do processing. That's where you process thoughts. So as a man thinks in his mind, which is the thought now, the thought pattern, belief system, mindset determines who he becomes. And who you become is based on what you see in your mind. What you see in your mind, imagine what you imagine in your mind, the communication, the conversation you have in your mind. So, where is this leading us? In the case of Jeff Bezos, even though his physical and current circumstances as a startup entrepreneur wasn't looking like what it should be, already in his mind, he could see Amazon being what it is today. I mean, it might not exactly be like, he might not exactly see it the way it is right now, but he obviously saw it beyond what it was as at the time when he got started. Because it was the passion and the vision. The vision created the passion created the motivation created the action for him to take, for him to implement, to eventually bet Amazon to become what it eventually is. So for leaders, for entrepreneurs, as founders as you are, you must develop, you must keep developing your ability to see beyond your current circumstances. Because who you are right now is not who you are. That's not your true self. This is just a present status. It will change. It's not permanent, except you choose to let it be permanent, except you choose to make it permanent yourself. But it is not permanent, right? So Jeff Bezos developed the capacity to see based on his mindset. The mindset is important. What you can see, what you can imagine. So my question to you right now is, what are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about your business? What are you saying about your team members? Because the ability for you to see, based on what you see, rather, based on what you see, will determine how passionate and the motivation, and then will definitely reflect on the kind of action you take. Will definitely reflect on the kind of action you take. And the kind of action you take, the steps you take, the moves you make will determine the results you get. So, how big are you looking? How huge is your vision for your business? How huge is your vision for yourself, your team? Okay, your family, right? So, first thing is imagination. You have to be able to imagine far, see far. That's the number one thing, right? And then number two is you have to become, because it is not enough to see far. You have to be able to achieve the vision in the mind. Now, this is one thing about vision. When you see, if you are able to see it, imagine it in your mind. What is imagination? Imaging, pictures, mental pictures in your mind. And if you can see it in your mind, to be very honest with you, it is possible. If it was not possible, you wouldn't see it in your mind. If you develop the capacity to see the vision, the mental picture in your mind, it means it's possible. As a matter of fact, in the imaginary world, it is completely done. Because what you see in your mind is not the start. What you see in your mind is the end, is the finished work. That's what you see in the mind. But in reality, where you are at the start level, not at the end, not at the point where you've seen in your mind. So how do you go from your physical environment where you are right now to achieving and bringing into reality what you see in your mind? How do you do that? You have to first become. What is becoming? Becoming means developing yourself, learning in the process. Learning in the process. And I wrote something down here. I said learning. What is learning? Learning is the process of one developing curiosity. You need to have hunger. You need to be curious. How do I make this thing happen? This vision in my mind, this imaginary picture I have in my mind, how do I make it happen? I want to make it happen. They have to be hungry. You need to have hunger. You have to be curious, because your curiosity, the hunger in you, will make you do research, will make you find out the how. And what is the how? Discovery. You discover the method, the roadmap, how to make this thing happen. So now when you discover, next you come to the realization, oh, so this is how this thing works. And there are several ways to discover. I'm not just going to go deep into it right now. There's several ways to discover. You can discover your research through coaching, mentorship. I highly recommend mentorship and coaching. If you try to do it yourself, well, you probably might get it, but you will spend a lot. To take a lot of time. A lot. Trust me, right? The best way to go about it is get a coach who has been through that route before, who have achieved what you want to achieve, what you see in your mind, or something similar, right? Learn from the person. Buy their book, buy their courses, buy their programs, attend their trainings, ask questions. That's how you learn. And most importantly, get a mentor to mentor you, someone to mentor you in that area, because they have the experience, they've been through it. Right? So now, when you have that mentorship and then you're learning the process, you come to the stage of realization. So, this is how this thing works. This is how this is done. So, this is the way, this is the strategy. When you come to the realization, right, the next stage is the realization, now that you know the know-how, the secret, the strategy, the techniques, right? That gives you passion. It stirs up something inside of you. You want to try it out. You want to make a move. It stirs up the passion inside of you because now you know the strategy. You want to put it to test and see if it will work for you or how it will work for you. And so, what's the next stage after the passion? Is practicing. You get into work to practice what you've learned, what you've discovered, the reality that has dawned on you, the strategy, the techniques. Now, this is it. When you practice, you're not going to get results like you should. I mean, you might achieve some milestones through the help and support from your coach, or even if you're doing it yourself, right? But one thing is certain, I can assure you for sure, because this thing is almost everyone, if not everyone, who have succeeded and built a sustainable success in business, in personal life, whatever area, they literally went through this phase of failing. Failing is, I keep talking about failing because it is just a process that you can't avoid. It is part of the process and it's not a bad event. It's part of your learning process. Failing actually helps you to know the right moves, the right steps, the right way to do things. So you must fail. So when you're practicing, the essence of practicing, as a matter of fact, is for you to fail so that you know what is not working so that you can do what works. The essence of practice is so that you can fail and identify, and through the failing, through failure, through the act of failing, you identify what is not working so that you can know what works and do what works. So don't be scared of failing. It's part of the process and don't feel bad. I mean, we're humans, we have emotions, we tend to, yeah, that's okay, but don't dwell on it. Don't quit because you failed. You just discover one way that is not working. It's the essence of practicing. That's the essence, right? So now that you're practicing and then you're failing, the next phase is you now know what is working, right? Because you failed a couple of times, so many times, and you're failing forward because you're not giving up. When you give up, you're a failure. But if you don't give up, you're failing forward, which means you're learning from your failing, from your failing experiences. So because you're not giving up, right now you know what works. So what do you do next? You take action on what works. You put effort, put resources on what works. You know what doesn't work. Now you put action, take responsibility, do what works. And when you do what is working, you don't just stop there, right? You innovate. You keep innovating because things keep changing. What works today might not work tomorrow. So you keep innovating. You keep doing researches, you keep doing testing, and you keep experiencing some failures, which will help you learn and innovate even better so that you can serve the market even more. And one of the ways of innovating is speaking to the market, getting feedback from your market, from your customers. You keep innovating, and as you keep innovating, right, you keep iterating. The last phase, iteration. What is iteration? Repeat. You innovate, make it better, and then you repeat the process. Again, you go back, you innovate, make it better, repeat the process, and so on. And that's how you build a scaling business. That's how you build a scaling business. So think about it. You want to succeed in business, you go through, might not exactly be in this sequential order, but certainly you experience some, if not all of these steps, especially in the aspect of failing, and then in the aspect also of taking action. If you don't innovate, it's just a matter of time, you're going to be knocked out. Someone else will come and take over. All right? And if you don't iterate, you can't scale. You can't scale. For some people, they don't care about scaling. They're okay. They're comfortable where they are. It's just comfortable, right? So I hope this provides some value to you. I hope you get some value out of this. And so for you that's watching, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I honestly recommend that you do subscribe to the channel, because every week we release content like this. And also, I would honestly like to get your questions, your comments. Leave your comment in the comment section. And also, lastly, subscribe and share the video to your friends, your colleague, and those that you know needs to see this video. Cheers.